It's no secret here that I am a Pokemon fan. I have played and finished majority of the mainline games with the exception of Sun and Moon and the first Black and White. Otherwise, I've cleared them all. Except for Scarlet and Violet up to today. I cleared the Elite Four last night and I did several of the other optional things. I had never played this game. I was turned away by how disgusting it looked in terms of its frame rate and the glitches. We all saw it. It looked bad. But I've also heard good things, and I've seen it as the number 7 top selling game on Nintendo Switch. So I was curious. I asked for it for a Christmas present, and I got it. And so I'm here to talk about whether the good outweighs the bad. We all know there is bad, but is it that bad? I also want to give a couple other things. I started this game on Sunday, and I got to where I got Friday within 30 hours of gameplay, and my feelings are kind of a roller coaster. Stay tuned, subscribe, motherfuckers. We're going to go in on some Pokemon. I want to start with the bad. It's Junkie July, so we're going to talk about some hot garbage in this game. The first one is clearly the graphics. So the environments are really, it's not the environments themselves that are bad, it's how they load. So you could be, so the concept of this game, you get this mythical Pokemon early on in the game, Koraidon. It's one that's like a motorcycle Pokemon that you could go ride around and vroom, vroom. So on Koraidon, you can run around the open world and go to your destinations. And we'll get back to open world in a moment. Don't worry. The problem is, there's Pokemon everywhere, but they load halfway into your peripheral vision. So you'll be running into them. Okay, that's great. What else? Oh, the Pokemon are tiny. So I've seen some metric comparisons, even something like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Let's say, I don't know. There's not really many good ones I can think of, but like approximate to your human character, they're not entirely accurate. So the problem with this is that you're running around and then you'll just intercept them. So your movement is kind of broken because you immediately engage into a turn-based battle. So it kind of disrupts the flow. And besides which, you can't see them. Now we're going to get into performance. So I've heard, I think Spencer had said earlier how the game plays worse when docked. I experienced both as being bad, and the problem with playing it handheld too is that it's smaller. So imagine seeing these small creatures even smaller. You can't really see them. Okay, great. So in terms of the performance, it's really not good. And the thing is, this game basically tells you, okay, you can go anywhere on the map. You're going to start in the middle and you can work your way out. There's 8 badges. There's 5 Titan Pokemon. There's Team Star, which is the new Team Rocket. But there is still an implied order. So what happened was I went for the gym badges first. I did this Team Star battle. It was horrible, so I avoided those at all costs. And you really can't take on these gyms until you're a high enough level. But old Pokemon rules still apply. Unless you have the right number of badges, Pokemon up to a certain level won't obey you. So the third badge, I ran into that second, and I had level 25 Pokemon, and this guy's Pokemon were like level 30. So I was taking him on, but I didn't know that he was gym badge number 3. It's not even labeled. And besides which, it kind of just gives you this big world and says go, and then I don't know. So that was really difficult to manage. And let's talk about difficulty for a second. It's very confusing, like whether the game is difficult or not, because the first hour, I have a quote here from your rival. At that point, I had caught 6 Pokemon, and my team was like building pretty rapidly, and it'd been like an hour of just kind of casually grinding or whatever. And then I run into her, and she says, "You're getting tougher, so I'm going to step up the stakes. I'm going to send out 2 Pokemon." And that was like the difficulty spike was 2 Pokemon. But then you also have the problems of pretty unbalanced difficulty. It gets really tough in some parts. Those Team Star battles, they do not award you XP. And they're a significant time chunk. So that's pretty annoying. There are these Titan battles. I'll come back to them in a second. You basically just take on these massive oversized Pokemon. I lost some lives to them. And, I'm seasoned. I know my strategies. I know a lot of this stuff. But, man, they'll just decimate your team like quickly. And you got to think Pokemon is kids game, you know, like, I mean, I'm not saying it should be easier than it is right now, but you know, I think it was a lot of creative ideas, and then they kind of just went like, just go, you know. There are some new things because it's a new Pokemon game. There are new Pokemon. There are new Pokemon designs. There's this new gameplay mechanic called terastallizing, where they basically put this big derpy crown on your head that matches with your Terra type. A lot of times it looks pretty dumb. It's like triple the size of your Pokemon. So I had a Houndoom. Very respect. I love Houndoom and a Houndour, so I had to catch one. But he has this dark Terra type, and it becomes this big, jaggedy, dark shape. It looks horrible. And the mechanic, all it does is increase moves of that same type's power within the battle. You can use it once in one battle before you go back to a Pokemon Center. So the new mechanic is kind of dumb. Now let's talk about narrative a little bit. Now I know we're not playing Pokemon games for the narrative, but this game puts it in your face. I remember after that first hour, which I guess is your tutorial section, you end up at the university. Pokemon. Game Freak, this is not Persona. Do not make this game a Persona game. I do not need narratives about what is going on at school with kids at the school and the professors and Team Star. Team Star is a group of kids that got bullied and then they became delinquent and then want to go on and try and I don't know. I don't even know. Like, what do they do? Are they like just trying to prove a point? They invite their bullies into their squad. It's very confusing, and I don't know. I guess they're trying to be relatable. But I think that there's a big problem here in that your main character since X and Y is no longer a character. It is an android. You are like a custom skin of whatever. This is not how Pokemon used to be. Pokemon used to have star power, you know, and granted, do I know who the Pokemon Emerald protagonist is? I guess it's May. So yes. But then you also have the white-haired kid. Was his name Brent or something? I think he has a name. But since Sword and Shield, they are just caricatures. I don't know, or like that's not the right word, but they're just skins for you to put something on. And now they are just. It's basically like you're playing a robot, and everyone around you. I think they try and make up for it by really like trying to give them character, but it just feels so lifeless in the end. These are not characters, they're jokes. The 8th gym leader, she's I feel hesitant to even say this. She's a female rapper who ascended the ranks to become, you know, like really cool with bars, and she's doing rap battles on the stage and you have to light up the stage. Oh my God, I'll get back to gyms in a second. The 6th gym leader, she's a live streamer. At one point, you're in her live stream. Hello, da 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 da. Cringe. At one point, you're playing like soccer with okay, we got to get the gym tests. So leading up to gym battles, normally you go through a bunch of trainers, you go through this really cool gym. No, they make you do gym tests for every single one. That makes you prove why you're worthy to go into the gym. Some of them are handled okay, where you do a couple battles and you light up the stage and that's fine or whatever. Okay. But then you're playing big soccer. Oh, you're playing Where's Waldo with the professor. This is bad, Pokemon. You know, Terry said in his Pokemon Coliseum review, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not broke and you didn't fix it. You broke it. You made it worse. This is kind of sad. It's really sad to see as a Pokemon fan the decline of Pokemon and what it's become. And I gotta say, I'm just in terms of a lot of the core, it really feels like it doesn't feel like it's written by AI, but it just feels like it's really like if somebody told you like, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z on your channel now. Okay, and you just listen and you do everything the person tells you. It just feels like Game Freak is listening to whatever people told them. They said, "Oh, stop doing linear gym battles from Sword and Shield." Okay, make it more Breath of the Wild. Okay, it's just okay syndrome, and that's kind of a shame. And I can come back to good in a minute, but I'll just start it there. This is the bad for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Are you pausing or what?
Do you guys want to interject? Do you want to ask me anything about the bad?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see what you mean. I haven't played any. I haven't picked up any Pokemon games post Shining Pearl because that left such a bad taste in my mouth. I just haven't wanted to buy any other games yet. No, but I can definitely see what you just on the outside looking in. I'm the only one that hasn't played this game now. Um, I can see. I can definitely see what you mean by them definitely just saying okay, but at the same time, like that, it's exactly what we. Well, not we, you and I, but exactly what the community asked for. And it's also, I think the problem to me looks like they did what the community asked for, but they had no real ambition to. They're
Mhm.
like, okay, we have to do it. You know, if we want to sell the next game,
Yeah.
like people aren't going to buy Sword and Shield again. So I get it, but at the same time, it is unfortunate that this is the state.
Yeah. I didn't have as many problems as you did, I think, with this one. From a performance aspect, I didn't even notice any of the perform. I noticed there was, I mean, there was a little bit, but I can talk about that in a broader sense. But once I docked it because I was trying to get footage for it, I was like, oh, this is where all the people were talking about with the pop in and just like the weird frame rate stuff. I didn't really have any when it was docked. I don't know. I was always when I was playing it like that, I was wondering what people were talking about, and then
Handheld, you mean?
or sorry, no, I didn't play it when it was docked. I played it handheld almost exclusively.
That's what
Um,
I'm saying. You didn't have performance issues when it was handheld. It
right,
wasn't until it was docked that you had them.
right, yeah. So like once I did play it when it was docked, then I was like, oh shit, that's terrible. Um, so yeah, that one I could see, but I just didn't run into it when it was handheld. Um, the I liked some of the additions they had with some of those like weird battles. It's been so long, I don't remember what they're called. You mentioned them, but where you like take your Pokemon and just kind of run around for a while and it fights like a whole team. I think you got like 3 at a time or something, and just let them go out and fuck shit up. That was interesting. It reminded me of like the show when they wouldn't really battle. They would actually go out and like do shit with the Pokemon and fight like a whole team. So I kind of thought that was refreshing. It could have been done better, but I think it all really to me loops back to that this is on. I think people need to realize this is on a Switch, which a Switch is not a powerful enough console to really do anything. Like that we as older gamers are expecting. So like the Pokemon, when we want an open world Pokemon game, we want you to be able to walk around this grand world with tall trees and fight your way to a gym, fight your way to the next Pokemon Center, and do all this stuff. Switch cannot do that. The Switch can't handle that. I had the same problem with Arceus, and this one have the exact same problem where they really want to give you this open world experience, and this game is technically more of an open world experience than Arceus, but the Switch just can't do it. It's just not strong enough to get that thing that we want out of it, and I think it just kind of kept running into that with what it was trying to accomplish. The world, while open, doesn't really feel doesn't have a lot of life to it, even when Pokemon just start popping up. Because again, they just pop up in the middle of nowhere, so it's like how you just got here through magic, I guess. So a lot of the problems I had were just the fact that it's on the Switch. If this were on like PS5 or something, they could do a whole lot of cool stuff with this that I think is more what we're looking for. But Nintendo doesn't operate like that. They operate on pretty low tech, so they can deliver it to children. As far as the story stuff, I didn't really mind it. I thought it was less of a thing than Sword and Shield was, so I kind of appreciated that. It didn't seem as like high stakes as those were trying to be. It was just like, hey, there's a school and people play Pokemon there. It's like, okay, I'm cool with that. As far as I don't understand the main protagonist though, because haven't they always just been silent protagonists?
It's not the point. The point is that they're based in characters. These are not characters anymore. They're just custom makes.
Well, the first
So there is no real relation. I guess you're just a kid in a house, but you're not Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, but they don't really have that aspect anymore, right? That like because like you're saying that because I guess because of the show, right? Would tie into all those seasons. Like I know May because of the show. I know Dawn because of the show. I guess because that aspect's not really there anymore.
It might be,
Yeah,
but we just
these
don't
are just
watch. I don't know.
amorphous products. Like, who are these gym leaders? They're just flashy. Like, they're just superficial. Like, let's make this grand, live stream. Hey, like, but she's really nobody. Like, and then
But
who's your rival? Oh, a girl who likes to battle.
I don't really
Like, I don't know.
understand that.
It just seems it's really gimmicky. I don't know. Like, can you compare anyone to Brock? Is anybody as cool as like I don't know. Like,
Well, that's
he's
not-
you're the guy in what?
I just don't think that's fair. Because remember, these games are for kids, and kids can relate to like they're like, because a lot of kids want to be live streamers, and a lot of kids want to be. They see people
But that's
rapping
the
and
point.
they like that.
Like, oh yeah, kids want to be live streamers, so let's have a live streamer gym battler. I don't know. I'm just saying it's not as memorable or iconic. I just think they're just like plastic, like faces or labels that they ascribe because it's popular. I don't think that it's like really character driven.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's not successful. I'm saying that it's just not as significant or standout.
I just think it's because we're older. I just think because like we grew up
And
with
you say
Red
it's not fair though, but we're comparing Pokemon to Pokemon. You cannot have a fairer comparison.
Well, but the problem is that we grew up with these games. We grew up with Red and Blue, and I bet if a lot of people that were born now looked back at those and they said, "Oh, Misty's the water leader because she's a swimmer," like it's not that great. Like Brock is a rock guy because why? I don't. He's just a guy that has rock Pokemon. I don't think they're particularly interesting. I think that they just meant a lot to us because we played it at when it was important to us. I don't really know that the gym leaders have ever been that exciting, and I couldn't tell you a gym leader past Pokemon Red. Like anyone from Gold and on, I couldn't tell you their names or.
I couldn't either. I can tell you the stuff
Yeah.
from Red and Blue because of the anime. I know the Sergeant and
Right.
Misty, I
Yeah, the
know-
anime was big for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the anime characters. That's why I know it.
See, I'm the biggest Pokemon fan here, so I'll tell you, like Claire from Gold Silver, she's the dragon leader who then goes and cries and she doesn't give you the badge. I could tell you that Koga reappears in Gold and Silver. I could tell you Wallace is the epic water-based gym leader in Gen 3. So I don't know. I know that maybe you guys are not as big fans as me.
Yeah. And that could be it too, is that you're bigger into it, and so a lot of these things mean more. But to me, I just kind of look past a lot of it because it's like, well, I'm just getting older. Like, I don't necessarily understand.
Well, let the kids have it. Let the kids play it and enjoy it. I'm just saying, critically, as a fan of the series since its inception, I don't appreciate these changes.
Well, and if you want to talk about the gameplay itself, like the game has been dumbed down to the point that I don't really like it either. But again, it's just that that's a critique of the series entirely, not necessarily on this game.
Let's agree and disagree. Like, I mean, yeah, they tell you after you engage with a Pokemon if it's super effective or not effective, or if it's doesn't affect them at all, like with your moves. But I do think that the systems have become really complex since Gen 3, and again, separate discussion. So
to people that make it complex, but like that's like the people that you're talking about people that breed and like do the whole like.
No, even without that, you still natures and like types, or like the different type matchups. You've introduced new types. You've introduced new combinations. Now there's like 400 Pokemon in this game. I don't even know. Like, I've come across how many of these new Pokemon types have normal as an add-on, and I know it or I don't. So I didn't care. To me, I'm just playing through the game and I need to get through it. Okay, I'm not going to remember the difference between this mouse Pokemon and this mouse Pokemon.
They've added more stuff to it, but I don't know that it's really made it that much more complex. Especially if you look at it from like the timing of it. So like the first one came out and it offered its own complexities that we had to get used to, and then Gold came out and it had is that the natures or the Pokemon had like a little
all Gold and Silver really added, I guess, besides there were a couple of mechanics, but you just say the Dark and the Steel type.
Gold and Silver didn't have like the weird thing?
That was Game Boy Advance on.
Okay, well then they had it. And then that's like way back at Game Boy Advance. What does this add that those didn't really have? Like that you can put a weird thing on their head?
No, it's not that. I mean, you have the fairy type in addition, but you have just the volume of Pokemon. At this point, even though there's not 1,000 Pokemon in this game, there were 1,000 Pokemon total.
Yeah, but volume doesn't change the complexity. Volume just makes more of it. The core mechanic is still the same. If it hasn't really grown. In fact, I feel like they made the game a lot easier. Just like, because I remember playing Pokemon Red when we did the map out for it, and was like, wow, this game is actually kind of hard at times. And I don't think I've experienced that on a Pokemon game in the last decade, where I was like, this game's actually challenging.
Sure, but I mean, there are points where I did die to either gym leaders or these Titan Pokemon. So it happens. I do think that at some points they make it way too easy, like in the Elite Four. I should not be fully recovered before the final battle. That doesn't
Agreed.
make sense.
Agreed.
Do they
it's
still have
So
the? Sorry, I was gonna say, do they still have the XP share thing, the auto share?
Yeah, it's on by
Garbage.
default.
yeah, but thank
Why?
goodness they do, because it honestly, if you did not have it on in this game, you're turning this into a 50 or 60-hour game. It's too big.
I
Yeah, but I don't like that on. Like I was playing, which is weird because I thought it started earlier, but recently I was playing Black and White, and that one didn't have it, and I was like, when the hell did this start? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I know at some point it started, and it's just kind of ruined my experience for at least the games on the Switch, like
Yeah.
Shield and Shining Pearl, because it seems like I could just catch a Pokemon and then I don't have to really get to know it. It could just stay in my party till I can level it up, you know.
Well, and that's kind of my thing with this too, is like it just feels like so detached. Like it just feels like an amorphous product. Like I in previous Pokemon games, I really felt connected to my team. And in this one, like I kind of do, like I had like 10 Pokemon I was rotating between, but like between your like, these NPCs I do not give a shit about. Like I don't think it's like entertaining in the slightest. Between my protagonist, who you can't even, like, there's no shop to change his clothes, but you could change his hat and his shoes. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Call me out if I am, please. And then like I guess the XP share system, sure, like I could raise and bulk up any of my Pokemon. I guess I would say I had that problem with Arceus too. Like I did feel like I was just farming Pokemon. I really did catch a lot of Pokemon in this game. Like a ton. I caught like half the roster, like 200. But at the same time, that just shows how disposable they are. I've never really felt that in a Pokemon game until this one. I don't think this is as bad as Chrono Cross system, where they just level up anybody, even if they're not in your party. But it's like somewhere in between.
Well, Chrono
What's
Cross
the
is
good?
that's a different rabbit hole, because that has a different leveling up system entirely.
What's the good? I want to hear the good.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know if I should have started with the bad. You probably think I hate this game. I don't. Not at all, actually. And I was shocked. I thought I was absolutely going to hate this game. But by yesterday, dude, I could not stop playing. That's when I really felt that the open world just opened up completely, when I had everything. So, I mean, it is kind of ironically Zelda-esque, like, because your co-Rhydon needs to gain new abilities back, like higher jumps or climbing on rocks or gliding through the air. And I don't know if you should have all that from the start. I don't think it makes sense with the game's progression system anyway. But I was just climbing for the highest peaks. I was gliding down hills. I was scouting out Pokemon I've caught and haven't caught. This is actually kind of the heart of Pokemon, is just wanting to go out, explore, and catch them all. That is the slogan of the series. And ironically enough, in older games, I never used to feel that. I was just like, give me 6, let's freaking go. In this one and the Arceus, I just went in on catching Pokemon because it's like it's facilitated so well. I mean, you could throw the Pokeball and you do have to engage in the battle. I think Arceus handles this better, where you could just throw a Pokeball and try and catch it before even engaging in battle. It expedites your process. But I think the game moves fast. It really does not waste your time when it goes to the actual gameplay. I do think they dump a lot of exposition in there, which is annoying. But man, so many good quality of life improvements, such little things that I had to waste my time on in terms of the complexity of the series. I talked about natures earlier or whatever, like your upper stats, lower stats. You have herbs that you can buy that just change it for you. You don't have to do breeding. technical machines, you can generate them. You don't have to find them all. You can remember moves from the start menu on terms of any of your Pokemon. So that was so helpful. I didn't have to worry about if I missed a move. They actually, they would say, does your Pokemon want to forget learning Tackle? Are you sure? They don't do that anymore. They don't ask, are you sure? They're just like, all right, come on, let's keep going. Tons of quality of life stuff that just keeps this game like fresh. I don't know, modern in a sense. And I don't know, like you have a lot of the Sword and Shield benefits as well. There are no HMs, so you don't have to you don't have to have a Pokemon that can fly in your party at any time. You don't even need to go to a PC to switch your Pokemon. You can do it from the start menu to go straight to your smartwatch, your Rotom phone. And I don't know, like I really felt like I was constantly on the grind. I felt like there is a lot to see and a lot to explore, and I won't say like I charted every part of the map, but I've done a lot. And more than I expected. I do like a couple of the new things. Like, it is nice to see some of the nostalgic Pokemon, like a Diglett become a Wiglet, and then it's like a water-based Pokemon that looks like a giant white wiener. I don't know. I kind of like some of the stuff. And as much as I was bashing terrestrializing, it's when it's good, it's good. I really like the dragon terraform where it gets like this giant like dragon helmet looking thing. I have some really cool dragon Pokemon in my party. I know that people complain about the lack of 1,000 Pokemon. I don't care. I think 400 is more than enough. I could spend a whole bunch of time doing this, game. And as much as I was bashing on graphics, nothing is game breaking. It's funny to look at like the grass turn into water and you can like see below the level and like mid combat. But I didn't hate it. Actually, I really liked one element that it's not perfect, but it's cool. Like in Dragon Quest XI, you can kind of move around the arena when you're like mid turn-based battle. It kind of gives a little more life to it. With this one, you can actually rotate around and you can see your Pokemon from the front. You can't do that in older Pokemon. Like you can only really see them from over the shoulder. I just always think of how derpy it used to look. I don't know. I feel like you have to take the good with the bad if you want to play Pokemon Scarlet. There is a lot of good. Is it the right direction for the series? Maybe. I mean, look, Pokemon Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet together amount almost 100 million units sold for the system. I think maybe more. So, as much as people are complaining, people are buying, and I think people are just complaining, but begrudgingly because it's Pokemon, and it's still got that tried and true formula. Like I still like I got to catch a Dratini anytime I see one. So I got Dragonite in the party. And then I still have some new Pokemon. I'm still excited to see some of the new Pokemon. I do think they get away with a lot in terms of like I don't know how well they design the game in terms of performance and even like I don't know. Like everything, like open world it's the first really open world. See, I put this somewhere between Sword and Shield and Arceus. Like Arceus to me, even though it's not open world, I think it's like the best made of those three games. Sword and Shield, I feel like is deceptive. It gives you open world for an hour and then tells you to do 8 gym badges. This one meets right in the middle. It gives you the open world, but it just doesn't run very well. And it's not. It's very like streamlined to be linear. So it's weird. But
well, no, this one is open.
I do think there's good here.
I think this one's more open world, the most open world of all. But I mean, generally most games are streamlined, even if they're open world. They're still streamlined. Like you got to do this, 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 and this in a certain order, just because that's just game design. That's like progression. Very few don't, and even like maybe Breath of the Wild, although I can't remember. It's been too long since I played it, but was there still an order of like the 4 dungeons or whatever you're supposed to do?
You can do whatever you want in that one. As long as you just did them, that's all that mattered. As long as you did them and got your Master Sword.
But even then, you still have to do those and then do. Or no, you can go straight to Ganon.
You can go straight to Clam.
That one is the most
open
open
world. Example.
That one is the most open world. But most games aren't like that. Like Elder Scrolls and stuff and those kinds of games. Yeah. Even like The Witcher 3, there's still there's still an order you're supposed to do it in. But so it's hard to. The open world concept.
Open world is a problematic phrase. We have to be clear
so.
About like what do we mean by that.
Well, no.
If Breath of the Wild is your standard for open world, then yes.
No, because that
you can't say it is.
No, because that isn't necessarily the world part. The world part is just the map. That's the open world part of it. The progression is not necessarily in conjunction with the openness of the map. It's just that the progression can still be like somewhat straightforward as long as you can go anywhere. That's what open world
You can't.
is.
You can't go anywhere in the beginning of the game.
That's
a
what
lot
I mean.
of your progression is stagnated because of what Koraidon can do.
That's what I mean.
It is
though,
the most open world of the 3 games.
Right,
I
that's-
agree.
yeah.
But it's not truly open world.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is I think it's the most open world of those 3. Where it,
Mhm.
yeah, because I mean Arceus isn't open world at all. It's instanced. So
Right. It's level based. You have to pick the level. So I understand. And it's very, very straightforward. But once you're in those levels, it's pretty open.
Mhm.
I'm not calling Arceus open world.
all right, let's read some comments.
Does the good outweigh the bad? Yes.
Oh my God, Terry's saying a lot here.
Oh yeah, no, let's just not look at. I've been looking at the chat the whole time, and he's just been babbling about Coliseum this whole time to an
Yeah.
audience of to an audience of 1, and it's himself.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and it's fun. Like, I don't know if I want to. Like, I'll probably try these at some, like this one and Arceus at some point, because of the 40 hours I did dump into Shield, I probably spent 20 of that, or maybe even 25 of that in the open areas, or the DLC, which were open. So like, that could be what I'm into. Is just doing nothing.
Well, yeah, because you
Running
really
around.
like that Sonic. Was it Frontiers or Sonic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked the Sword and Shield DLC. I thought they did a better job with the DLC than they did the main game.
Mhm.
So
This one has good DLC from what I understand. I am excited to try it out.
I wonder if this game would play better when they
Maybe.
release the rumored Switch 2 or whatever.
Switch Pro,
Switch
thank
Pro?
you. Switch Ultimate, Switch
New Switch Pro.
I'm waiting right now for whatever they're gonna announce, because I know people are like, it's just gonna be a more powerful Switch. Metroid's running on that. Did you see that trailer? There's no, and then I know it's gonna come out. They'll be like, it's a Switch, but you tape it to your eyebrows and control it with your eyebrows. I don't know. Like it's gonna be something stupid. I know it.
There are good looking games on Switch though. Like who complained about this stuff for Breath of the Wild?
Well, the problem is that's coming from ED. That's coming from internal development companies and Nintendo, and they know what to do. Game Freak is not an internal company. If this game was handed over to ED, yeah, they would fucking knock it out of the park because they know the hardware. That's how Breath of the Wild looks fantastic. But no other game can come close to that on the Switch because they didn't make the hardware.
And then they get help from the Xenogear Monolith Soft, the Xenogears people.
Yeah. Did they help?
Blade
Did
people?
Monolith Soft?
Yeah, I
Did
think
they
they
help?
helped them with their open world because they did like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on there, and Monolith Soft was really good at doing the open world games on
X.
shitty Nintendo.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. X hasn't been ported because I don't have X, but I've heard X is like crazy impressive for the Wii U. So
Yeah,
it's weird
it's
that
pretty
hasn't been brought over. But anyway, But yeah, maybe I don't know anything about Monolith Soft beyond that. Beyond Xeno, I know they make Xenoblade.
Xeno stuff.
I know they make Xenoblade.
Yeah.
Is this Ninja Green Series? Is this Digimon? I wish.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.